Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. It's Snickers bar time again, and in today's video I'm going to show you why we're heading to the 40,000 region very shortly. I'll also show you why Ethereum is currently a very good buying opportunity at these levels here. And I'll tell you why there are only three things that I'm focusing on between where we are now here to where we're going to get to there. And I'll share that with you today. I'll also show you why these kinds of stories is just the beginning of what is about to come that will push the price of Bitcoin to well over 100,000 in the next few months. At the end of the video, I'm going to tell you a story of the elephant and the rope and why that is absolutely essential hearing if you really want to become successful with Bitcoin. So please watch this video to the end. And if all that sounds interesting, then let's get comfortable. Get your Snickers bars, get your cups of teas, turn the lights off, and let's get cracking. Okay, before I begin, the usual polite reminder that please remember I'm not a financial advisor. All my videos are for educational purposes only. There should be nothing in the videos that would be construed as financial advice. So please do your wider research before you make any investment decisions. So with that out of the way, let's get cracking. So why do I think that we're heading towards the 40,000 target? Currently, we're at 45,153 as I'm speaking now. Now, since the last video, I discovered this bars pattern. And if you don't know how to get this bars pattern, I've shown you these types of patterns before. Whenever I find something in the charts that the current price is actually emulating and copying, then I always bring it to your attention. So this particular bar pattern I actually noticed was in January this year. So what I've done is basically take the January pattern here as it was forming. So if you go to this particular indicator here and go to bars pattern, you pick that there, and then you take this price action from the beginning to this point here, and then you basically impose it over here. So that's how I got that. So what is it showing us currently? Well, very quickly, it's forming this exact pattern here. I haven't seen any other channels showing this. Maybe there are others that I don't watch. So basically, we made this pattern here as we're coming into this particular channel. And then we've got into this W pattern, the double bottom pattern from there. And then we've broken out of this channel to form another W pattern to get into this channel here, same as this one here. And then we've now broken out here, just like we broke out there. Now, if this pattern was to continue to be repeated, you can see quite clearly that we're going to come to the bottom of this channel, this bigger channel that was forming over there. So if this is to continue, we're going to have a bounce around there, which is the equivalent of a bounce around here. And that is in the 40,000, well, that's 37, but I'm expecting it to go to 40,000 because of the other indicators that I'm going to show you. So basically, we're coming to the bottom of this particular channel that we're forming here. And that is really just a replica of what's happening there. And once we get to the bottom of this, then it looks like we're going to double bottom here and here before we take off for the next leg. So just be mindful of that. Once we come to the bottom of this channel, we're going to do this as a double bottom, and then we're going to go to the races. So please remember, some of these patterns, they do come to an end somewhere along the line, as we've seen in the past. I've shown you many of these patterns, and then somehow it does something completely different at somewhere along the line there. So be aware of that. So as you can see, the price, when it broke from the top of the channel and got rejected there, just like over there, you can see that it's now heading towards the bottom of this channel. So where this is going to be, let's have a look at a few of the indicators to give you a determination of a possible price. So in my last video, I showed you this 4-hourly EMA ribbons, which really tell you exactly which way the trend is going. As you can see quite clearly, when we're above the ribbons, we're always bouncing off this time and time again. And that tells you that this trend is still continuing until we start breaking out of it here. And this is exactly what we've done now. We've now broken out of that trend and fallen below the ribbons, and they're now acting as resistance, whereas before they were acting as support. And this is the reason why we have now spent a little bit of time below these ribbons. Now the blue line here, as I've mentioned before, is the 200 period moving average. And in the last video, I showed you that we'd found support on there, which gave the impression that maybe we're going to bounce off there and go back towards the ribbons. And I mentioned quite specifically that unless we get to the top of these ribbons here, we won't go back into the upward rally. So there is still a possibility that we're going to fall further down. I wasn't expecting it to fall down because generally we find very good support at this blue line here, the 200 period moving average. However, on this occasion, as you can see, we've now broken below this and finding support, and it looks to me as though we're going to get rejected here. And as I've shown you in the last many videos that I've done, that we've only broken below this blue line once before since the rally started back in October here. So this blue line was proving to be a very strong support for the price. But as you can see from the last time we broke out around about the 20th of January, when we did go below the blue line, we spent about a week below it trying to get back up there again. So it looks to me as though we may spend a little bit of time trying to negotiate this blue line again. So where can we go down below this particular blue line? What is the target price? So these are the pivots I've been showing you in my many videos in the past, in the last 3-4 months. In order to find these, you just go to indicators and type in pivots. And you get to the pivot standard. This is the one that I use, the pivot point standard. When you click on that, that's what you get here. And they're on a default setting in case you're interested. I know quite a lot of people ask me what my settings are. Generally speaking, in 95% of the cases, I tend to always use the default settings. And what's the settings telling us now? Well, I made the prediction at the end of January that the February month, we were more than likely to come to the R2 line. The R1 line was the target I'd given you at the time in one of my videos at 40,000. The R2 line was at $48,000. And then the R3 line was at 55. And I said quite clearly that it is very highly likely we'll come up to the $55,000 mark. And we have a little bit of a chance to get to the 61,000 mark at the R4 line. But as I showed you with the red line on the Bitcoin investor tool, that it wasn't going to be possible. And I said quite clearly in the last few videos that we're going to crash from these levels at around the 58,000, 57,000 mark, which is exactly what we've done here. So the question is, where are we going to find support in this downward rally that we've got? Well, if you look at history on these pivots, you'll see quite clearly why the R1 line is a very good natural support here. And that is exactly at the 40,700 mark. Why do I say that? If you look left, you'll see that whenever we have a downward rally, we find support at the pivot below. So this one actually went below, but then came back up and found support exactly at that pivot. If you look here, whenever we have a slight downturn, we always find support at one of these pivots, as you can see there quite clearly. And all over here, we went up to these levels and then came back down and found support at the support level here. And quite clearly everywhere, you'll see that these pivots play a very important role in the support and resistance of the Bitcoin price. So for me, $40,000 seems to be like the support level for Bitcoin before we bounce back up again. That seems to be confirmed by the Fibonacci retracement. So if we take this particular rally, which started here, and we take it to the top, look at where the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level is. It's at 40,138, and the golden pocket is all the way down to 39,185. So these levels here look like the natural place for the Bitcoin to bounce off from. So let's wait and see. That's what I see in the charts. Also, in this particular rally, we found very strong support on the 50 daily moving average here. So As you can see, we found very strong support here, and we seem to be heading towards this line again here, and that's exactly at 40,700, around this level here. So let's wait and see where we get to, but that seems to be the magnet which seems to be attracting the price back down to. If you want to support the channel, then please click on any of my videos, and then below the videos you'll find a box called Show More, which gives you a description box, and in that description box is the affiliate link with Etoro that I have. So I partner up with Etoro because that's the main exchange I use for all my investments. These are the reasons why I tend to use Etoro. It's a very simple exchange to use in terms of depositing money and withdrawing the money, as well as trading if that's what you want to do, as well as for long-term investing, which is what I tend to do. So if you want to support the channel, please click on the partnership link, and then what you'll do is you'll get this box here, and then you can basically put your username, email and password and just fill in the form there. If you like any of my videos and you find value in them, then please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I've also been showing you this angled volume profile, which gives me a lot of entry points, because whenever the price falls below, like it's done here, as I've said many times in my previous videos, if you're looking for an entry point, put this angled volume profile on and it'll give you a visual idea of exactly where a good point is to enter. If it's below the angled volume profile, then that's obviously a very good point to enter, simply because if you look through history, like for instance here, that was a good point to enter. Over here, another good point to enter. And if you go further back, you'll see that when the price went below here, that was a good point to enter, etc. So if you are looking for a place to enter, this would be an ideal place before we start taking the upward trend and following this trend and continuing with it. Those are obviously the short-term analysis of what's happening to Bitcoin in the next few days and weeks. But as you know, at Wisdom Bites, we think the long-term game, because we want to make the most amount of money. And there are really only 3 things that we need to focus on. This is not financial advice, as everybody's got their own strategy, so please do your wider research, but I can only tell you what I'm focusing on. There's only 3 things I'm focusing on, and that is, firstly, I showed you this red line. This is the Bitcoin investor tool. So we've come to this red line here, and we've now been rejected, as was predicted in the last few videos. So the question is, will we carry on being rejected at this point here? So it took a few months for us to actually negotiate this red line before moving up above and having a blow off top to lead to the next bear market. So if it's something that's similar about to happen, then we may end up spending quite a few months along this red line before we break through and get to the target price of 300. So the first thing to focus on is this red line. In the next few weeks and possibly a few months, we need to just make sure that whatever our strategy is, we take this red line into account so we can make good decisions along the way. For me, I'm going to just hold until we get to the target here. The second main thing I'm focusing on is this yellow line here. If I zoom out, as you can see, this line actually covers from 2011 all the way up to the target price of 300,000. And this line is the most significant line in the history of Bitcoin. As you can see, all these support and resistance points here, it's very clear to me that we're going to get to this point here, somewhere along around about the 100,000 mark, anywhere around there, and we're going to get rejected at this point somewhere along there. The reason for that is, as you know, there are many chart patterns. And if you look quite closely at this particular chart pattern, so what pattern does this remind you of that we're forming? Well, if we have a look, we went from there, we're going to be coming up to this line here. What could possibly form here? Yes, a handle. And then we're going to go back up towards this line. And when we eventually break it, we'll have this blow off top here around this price, 300,000, 400,000 mark before we get into this bear market. So that's the second main thing I'm looking at. And the final thing I'm looking at is obviously when we get to here, how do we get off? And that's the exit indicators. This is where we are with the indicators. As I've mentioned many times in my previous videos, these two lines are going to play a crucial role in us getting out at this target price of around $300,000. The reason for that, as I've shown you many times, is that historically these two lines always cross, i.e. the orange line crosses above the green line in every previous top of the market. This top, this cross, this top and this cross. This top and this cross. So as you can see, these two lines are going to play a significant role in us getting off at the top, hopefully there. So the beauty about some of these corrections that we're having, and hopefully we'll have a few more corrections along the way, because what it does is it keeps these two lines separated so that when the line actually eventually cross over, it's over here rather than over here, because then the price will only be around these levels here. So let's wait and see what happens, but keep your eye on those three things: the Bitcoin investor tool, this long-term trend line, as well as the exit indicators to get us safely off this Bitcoin train. A quick look at the Ethereum chart. As you can see, we need to always zoom out and know exactly where we are so that we can make the best decisions on the longer term basis. And as you can see quite clearly, we've been following this long-term trend line with the Ethereum, which I drew in the last video to show you exactly where we're going to be coming back down to in the bear market next year, once we reach our target of 21,450. So this is where we're at the moment. As you can see, we're having a correction and we're still in this channel going up towards our target before we top off and come back down to this long-term trend line where we're going to be at the bottom of the bear market next year. Currently, as you can see, the price is at 1373, so it's had quite a large correction here, and I'm expecting the price for Ethereum to turn around very, very shortly. It may well be that when Bitcoin comes down to the 40,000 level, then Ethereum may come down to a little bit lower, to around about the 1200, 1100 mark before going up. But please be aware, sometimes Ethereum turns around quicker than Bitcoin, so this may well prove to be the bottom around the 13 to 1350 mark. And the reason why I say that is that if you look at the Ethereum versus the Bitcoin chart, then you can see quite clearly that compared to Bitcoin, we've had a very much sharper decline in the Ethereum price here. And if you do the Fibonacci retracement, you'll know exactly what I mean. This is the point where we started this rally. If we take it to the top of the recent high, look where we've just come back to on the Ethereum price, right on the 61.8 level here. So generally speaking, just like Bitcoin, Ethereum has a habit of bouncing off the 61.8 golden pocket level here. So it may well be that we've now reached the bottom of the Ethereum price, and that this is the point at which we now start to move back up towards our next target, which is at 0.053 on the Bitcoin dominance with Ethereum. So obviously all the altcoins have fallen in sympathy with Bitcoin, and until Bitcoin turns around, they won't turn around as well. So the tips that I gave you, the Zcash and the Polkadot and the Neo, they're obviously still very good buys, and maybe they are a very good opportunity now to buy at lower levels before they start shooting off as well. If you found value in the information I've presented to you so far, then please do hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. Moving on to the story I brought you to your attention in the last video regarding MicroStrategy and Square, who are buying more Bitcoin. Just to give you a little bit of insight, Square started buying Bitcoin back in October 2020. And they first bought 4,709 Bitcoins at $10,600. And that was the equivalent of $50 million worth. And then last week, they bought another $170 million worth. And they bought 3,318 more Bitcoin. So with Square and MicroStrategy leading the way in terms of the institutions buying up these Bitcoins, and remember, if Square bought these Bitcoins in October at the 10,600 level, that means their investment has now gone more than 4 times. So the question I want to pose to everyone listening to this video is, if you were the CEO of Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft, amongst many, many others, watching all this on the sidelines with your dollar value falling and Bitcoin value rising, what would you do? Surely it would be absolutely criminal if you didn't start buying Bitcoin. And let me tell you a startling fact why they are going to be forced to buy Bitcoin in the next few months. I did some research and found that Apple has $207 billion in their treasury as cash. Amazon has $84 billion in their treasury as cash. Google has $137 billion. Facebook, $61 billion. And Microsoft, $132 billion. So it seems very obvious to me that it is just a matter of time before these institutions start to actually plow their cash into Bitcoin. What that's going to mean for the price of Bitcoin is very, very easy. We can see quite clearly that achieving $100,000 Bitcoin in the next few months seems very, very likely. All I would say is fasten your seatbelts, pack your Snickers bars on this wonderful ride ahead, because you know where we're going. $300,000 target for Bitcoin in the next 6 to 9 months. This is where we're heading. All I would do is urge everyone watching this video, do not stop believing that we're going to achieve this target here. Do not stop believing that you're going to make your millions at this price. To help you keep the belief that you will more than likely make it and achieve life-changing amounts of money, I'm now going to tell you a wonderful story about the elephant and the rope. Okay, the following short story really highlights the importance of believing that you can really achieve whatever you want in life and never ever to hold back. A gentleman was walking through an elephant camp and he spotted that the elephants were not being kept in cages or held by the use of chains. And all that was holding them back from escaping the camp was a small piece of rope that was tied to one of their legs. As the man gazed upon the elephant and saw the size of the elephants, he was completely confused as to why the elephants didn't just use their strength to break the rope and escape the camp. They could easily have done so, but instead, they didn't even try at all. So curious and wanting to know the answer, he asked a trainer nearby why the elephants were just standing there and never even trying to escape. The trainer replied, "When the elephants are much, much younger, we use the same size rope to tie them down, and at that age it's enough to hold them back. But as they grow up, they are conditioned to believe that they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them back, so they never even try to break free." So the only reason that the elephants weren't breaking free and escaping from the camp was that over time they adopted the belief that it just wasn't possible. So this is what happens in real life to everyone. When we're young, we have this conditioning that there are certain things that we just can't achieve. We can't become successful. We can't become wealthy. We can't become whatever we want to become in terms of what our desires are. And all I'm saying is, please believe that we're going to get to this target here. Please believe that you're going to make life-changing amounts here. Please believe that there are indicators on the charts that are giving us a very good chance that we can get off the Bitcoin train towards the top of the bull market. And to all of you Snickers bar lovers out there, I want to reassure you that no harm was caused to any Snickers bar in the making of this video. I know that's going to come as a relief to you all. So now you can focus on becoming successful. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. Hope you found value in this video. If you did, then please do remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. I want to extend a very warm welcome to all the new subscribers who have just joined us here at Wisdom Bites. I'm not quite sure what happened in the last few videos, but we went from 400, 300, 500, etc. views to all of a sudden to 1,000 odd views now in the last 3 videos. And all I've done is change my aftershave. So thank you very much indeed for everyone who's come on board. I hope I can add a lot of value to you from some of the things that I look at and my perspective. So a very big thank you to you for that. I also want to say a very big thank you to everyone who actually clicked the like button in the last video. We got to the 100 mark for the first time. So I felt really very appreciated. And I want to just extend my appreciation to all of you who did that. I also want to bring to your attention that in the last video, I had to pin this comment here to say that please watch out for scammers in the comment section giving a WhatsApp number. And I would never give out my telephone number in this way. The thing to remember is that my name, the Wisdom Bites channel, will have a background which is in grey here. And the scammers will not have that. So they're saying things like, they're using my logo here, as you can see, and then giving out this WhatsApp number. But you can see it's not me because it hasn't got a grey background onto the Wisdom Bites name there. So please be aware of that. And I would never do this at all. I would never ask you to give me anything at all or to direct you to any other website or anything like that at all. So please be careful out there. There's a lot of scammers because there's so much money to be made out of Bitcoin. And while I'm here, I just want to say thank you very much indeed for all the lovely comments I get from so many of you here. It really makes it worthwhile for me to do these videos to know that I'm appreciated in this way. So thank you very much indeed. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Like I said, if you found value in this video, then please do remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. And if you want to make some comments, questions, or leave some suggestions, then please leave them in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, stay safe. Bye for now.